y'all got anything? You better put it up. Police is here and they getting ready to do a shakedown. They that bored that where they got to come out to our job to check for cigarettes and do a shakedown. I ain't tripping. I ain't got nothing, man. They say they just found a couple pounds of tobacco on Ronnie Taylor's cart, man. His cleaning cart, man. They done took Ronnie Taylor to the hole and rode him up, and Big Chuck was the one that threw them 2 pounds on his cleaning cart and ain't even gonna step forward and say nothing. As mad as I am, and I want to do something to Big Chuck for setting Ronnie Taylor up. At the end of the day, it ain't my business, man. And I only got a couple months before I possibly go home, and I'm trying to get home to my family, man. Yo, once again it's on. Back at you one more again. Real Kens TV and the house like motherfucking kitchen sinks. You know, I often talk about how prison is dog eat dog. You all don't even remotely know the half unless you've been in that situation. I go back to roughly about 10 years ago, give or take a year or two. I was at Blackburn Correctional Complex in Lexington, Kentucky. Now, Blackburn Correctional Complex, it's a prison, but it's not an actual prison. Now, the difference between Blackburn and an actual prison is a fence. If you're at an actual prison, you're going to have a fence with barbed wire and walls, and it's going to be very, very difficult to get out of that situation, that environment. But at Blackburn, it's simply a camp. You know, in the movie Life, we don't need no camp. We don't need no fence, rather here at Camp 8. We got ourselves the gun line. Tell them about the gun line, boss. The gun line, that's how Blackburn is. There's no fence. So you have inmates there that some people go straight to Blackburn because it's a level 1 minimum. So it's a level 1, and actually it's a level 1/level 2. So you'll have individuals that go straight to Blackburn, and you'll have individuals that start off at an actual penitentiary. They may be a level 3 or level 4, and they stay out of trouble, do everything that they're supposed to do, and work their way down to where they can eventually get to a prison camp such as Blackburn. So like I said, it's about 10 years ago, and I'm at Blackburn. I got about a year left, maybe a little bit less than a year left, before I go up for parole to have an opportunity to come home. So I'm at Blackburn. I'm doing everything I can do, because, you know, oftentimes when you're locked up, everything that you should be doing out on the streets, you do in prison because you want to come home. It's weird, it's crazy, but that's just how it is. So y'all rock with me. You know, oftentimes, man, I say this pretty much in all my videos. Mr. 30 minutes or better, man. We do 30-minute or better videos. So if you're here for the 12, 13, 15-minute videos, perhaps I'm not the channel for you. So, you know, I read the comments, get to the point, get to this, get to that. Listen, when you're watching a television show, series, or you go to the movies, and the plot is A, but they'll bring in B, C, and D only to come back to A. That's just part of it, man. So that's what I do at Real Kens TV 859. So again, y'all just rock with me. So this prison camp, you know, you have guys that have really have done some things, some violence, some you know, atrocious acts, if you will. But as I mentioned, they stayed out of trouble, worked their custody levels down, so now they're here at Blackburn. Now myself, having about a year or less to go, I'm doing everything and anything I can do. I'm taking every class that I can possibly take. I'm trying to go home on parole. I was doing 3 years before I actually had an opportunity to see the parole board. Well, they had an outside job to where you would go to the state capitol in Frankfort, Kentucky, and it was called, what was it called? It wasn't called Prison Industries. I forget the exact name of what it was called. Again, this was like 10 years ago. But basically, you go out and work in the state capitol, and you clean the buildings up. You bring in furniture. You assemble furniture. You take out old furniture and bring in the new furniture. And like the little office cubicles, you assemble the office cubicles. Now, what's so significant about that, working in the state capitol, is that you're actually in the office of the parole board. The parole board sees you all working, like, man, these guys are out in the community. You know, don't get me wrong, everybody couldn't go out there. You had to have like a certain level, and I was at the lowest of levels. You know what I mean? As far as custody levels. I wasn't out here robbing nobody. I wasn't out here shooting people. I wasn't out here just committing heinous and violent acts. But at the same time, I was out here doing wrong in the streets. So I was no better than nobody else. Because at the end of the day, I was out here committing crimes. But it just so happens, like I said, that's how they classify you in the Department of Corrections. So I was eligible to go out and work. It was a beautiful thing because I hate working there. But at the same time, because like the reason I hated working there is because you have a whole lot of like bootlickers. You know, you want me to do this, sir? I swept the floor. I mopped the floor. I'll do it again for you, sir. Like, it was a whole lot of that. And me, I just wasn't on that, man. It just wasn't I just wasn't with that whatsoever. Not to say that everybody that worked out there did that, but the majority did. A whole lot of kissing up and bootlicking. But I like the fact of working there because when you about to go up for parole, if you will, they write you a letter to the parole board stating, yeah, this individual has worked here. You know, Ken's has worked here for 18 months. He's a very good worker. He doesn't, miss work. He's a great attitude. We think that he'll be a asset to the community, a tax-paying individual. So I was desperately trying to get home. But I wanted to do it the right way. I wanted to do it, with integrity. So I went out there and I worked. And I ran into a guy by the name of Ronnie Taylor. And this is his real name. I don't always use real names, but in this particular instance, I'm going to use his real name, Ronnie Taylor. Ronnie Taylor, if you happen to see this video, or if anybody knows Ronnie Taylor in the western part of Kentucky area, show him this video and you get at me, man. Ronnie Taylor at the time was roughly 50 years old. He was one of those, he wasn't your normal 50-year-old though. Not to say that 50 years old is old. Ronnie Taylor was an athlete back in the day. I'm talking about Ronnie Taylor was a little bit darker than me. He had some locks, but they were like pretty short. Real cut up. He was a cut up dude. You could tell that he had great genes. He had several brothers and sisters and he came from great genes. He was probably, I don't know, about 5'11". He's probably about 5'11". And the guy was just a strong dude. I'm talking about, man, you shake his hand and he would squeeze your hand so bad. Like, hey, man, let go. Like, the dude was just genetically gifted. Pause. Double pause. Ronnie Taylor was a cool dude. Everybody liked Ronnie. So, man, Ronnie and I, we would get really cool as time went on. So it got to the point to where every day we was arguing and we slap boxing and the guy was so fast. So at 50, at this particular time, I'm probably, 10 years ago. So I'm in my, early 30s or whatever. So, we be slap boxing and the guy would just be so, you could just tell that he just had the ultimate skill back when he was younger. He used to tell me about how he played football and he was faster and stronger than everybody else. You could genuinely believe that just based on his movement and the way that he did things at the age of 50. Now, every morning we would get to this warehouse. They would come and get us. A van would come and get like 20 of us. So actually it was 2 vans. We go to this warehouse. It was probably like 20, 25 minutes away. And when we go in the warehouse, we had certain duties that we had to do. And then we look at the list on the wall to see who's going out with, which truck that you were actually going to be going out on. So it's like, well, which truck? Ken's, don't lose us. So y'all rock with me. Y'all follow with me. Basically, when there's a list on the wall, if there's 20 of us, it's like, okay, 4 of you all are going with truck A. 3 is going with truck B. 6 is going with truck C. You see what I'm saying? Now, everybody didn't get to go out every single day. So if you didn't get to go out, you were left back at the warehouse. Well, Ronnie Taylor was often left back at the warehouse, not because he couldn't work, not because it was just that they liked the way that he cleaned. Because, like, if you were left back at the warehouse, you were left with the janitor's duties. Now, at this job, we made about $120, $130 a month, which is nothing compared to what you make in the real world, but in prison, it's nice money. Because if you don't have a job like this, you're going to make about $25, $30 a month. So this job you made, like I said, you make the amount that I just said. Plus you would make more because you got paid overtime. And if you ever had to go out and do some late night jobs, you might not get back in until like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. So anything over 40 hours, you got time and a half. So you had guys in there making $200-$300 a month. So Ronnie Taylor, he would often get left behind. He was cool being a janitor. He'd just go around, change the garbage, wipe the windows down, just whatever needed to be done in this particular warehouse and facility. Or if they need some boxes moved around, or he might have to jump on the forklift, or, he just didn't go out on the truck all the time. Me, I was often left behind because the guys on the truck, they wasn't really rocking with me because I wasn't their type of guy, man. Just what it was. I'm not trying to make myself sound good or bad. I just wasn't their type of guy. I wasn't, hey, Brian, hey, Mr. Brian, I got it. No. I'm sitting there like, oh, my God, man, I'm ready to go home. But there was one guy that would always take me out on the truck, Jerry. Shout out to Jerry, man. Jerry liked me for whatever reason. So anytime he had to go do something, I would often ride with him. Hated staying back at that warehouse. I did, man. There was a dude named Keith that ran the warehouse. He always was big softball playing motherfucker, big calves, and he was cool, but he was one of those overachievers at the job. Always had to be moving. Always had to, if he see you sitting down or trying to relax, oh, I need you to go up here and grab these chairs just the whole day. I need you to go outside and weed eat. It's like, man, ain't nobody on that shit. So me and Keith would often bump heads. I can't even believe I didn't get fired from the establishment. But nevertheless, it worked out in my favor. So as I was mentioning Ronnie Taylor, and he wore glasses too. I failed to mention that. He wore like some nerd type glasses, but he wasn't a nerd in any stretch of the imagination. Real good in pool. Couldn't nobody beat him on the pool table. So when we got back to the prison or whatever, once rec time came, oftentimes you knew exactly where to find Ronnie Taylor. It was in that gym, in the pool area or whatever, where they played pool. Like I said, everybody liked him. Everybody loved Ronnie Taylor. One particular afternoon, they decided, and when I say they, I'm referring to the prison staff, the COs, a group of maybe 4 or 5 COs come out there, and somebody had dropped a dime and said that cigarettes were coming in through the job that we worked at. Well, they wouldn't always wait until you got back to the prison. Sometimes they would actually go to the job site to kind of catch you off guard or what have you. So they pull up one day. When they pull up, like I said, 4, 5, 6 deep. They searching all of us or what have you. There was one dude that had all the cigarettes. Big Chuck. Now, Big Chuck had all the cigarettes because he was from that area. He would have his people drop off like pounds of tobacco. So they would keep tobacco out there so that they could smoke. The guys that like to smoke. And then they would bring it in. Some guys would keister it in. And when I say keister, it's putting it in your rectum. That's just what it is. But being that we worked out there, oftentimes when we came back to the jail, they didn't really strip search us. It was like we were kind of trusted inmates. They strip search us, but they didn't fully strip search us. And so, guys like Ronnie Taylor, he didn't have anybody sending him any money. He was on his own, so he had to get it off the land, get it how he lived. So, even though he's making, 120, 130, 140 a month, that's not really a lot of money in penitentiary. It's something if you don't have anything. But you got to buy, hygiene, you got to buy food, you got to buy, you don't have to, but you got to make phone calls and things of that nature. So basically, what Ronnie Taylor would do is he would grab every day, he would probably bring in $20, $25, $30 worth of cigarettes, put it in his boot, bring it in, never no problem. They didn't search his boot, and if they did, they didn't search the area to where he had it hidden in. See, in prison, they give you state boots. They're black boots. And, you pretty much have to wear them, or you can purchase yourself some tennis shoes. Well, Ronnie Taylor didn't have any tennis shoes, so he, had to wear his black state boots. Every day, he bring $25, $30 worth of cigarettes in. He sell those cigarettes, and he'd tell, give people a list. Hey, okay, you bought $6 worth of cigarettes from me. I need you to grab me this out of commissary. Okay, you want $10? Grab me a box of chicken. So he's able to survive. He's just hustling to survive. Then he got a couple cigarettes for himself because he smoked. Operation, everything's cool. Everything's clean. No problems. He's living well in prison. He ain't rich, but he's not starving by any stretch of the imagination. So that when he's selling these cigarettes, he's able to save some of his money when he gets paid, the $130 to $140 or whatever. He may be able to put $70, $80 up, spend a little bit. You see what I'm saying? So that by the time he got out, he's accumulated a certain amount of money just from putting money to the side. They come in, and like I said, somebody dropped a dime or whatever. And so they get to searching all of us. Well, I didn't have anything to worry about. I didn't indulge. I don't smoke. I'm trying to get home. I'm not indulging in any of that activity. Oh, I have indulged plenty of times. But this particular time, I wasn't indulging in any illegal activity when I was locked up. Because the whole goal was to get home as quickly as I can. Big Chuck, man, he was the guy out there. He lived close by, so his people at any time could drop the tobacco off. They would drop the tobacco off at the job, like they would hide it in a particular area. He would get it, disperse it out, hand it out. Okay, you take this in if you want to. You take that in or whatever. And it was cool, and he never made nobody pay for it because he didn't want anybody to tell on him. So the tobacco that Ronnie Taylor was getting from him, he was never having to pay because Ronnie kind of helped him with his operation. When they came in, Big Chuck had like 2 pounds on him of tobacco, just straight tobacco. They came in unexpected. You don't know that they're coming. So you see him, it's like, oh, snap. He had to get this tobacco off of him. So what could he do? Put it in Ronnie Taylor's cart. Now, it wasn't actually Ronnie Taylor's cart, but it was the cleaning cart that Ronnie Taylor pushed around. He throws it in the cart, push a couple cleaning supplies, mop handle, well, not mop handles, but, mops over top of it to cover it up or whatever. So now when they shake him down, search him, take him in there, strip search him, he don't have anything on him. Everybody's clean. Everything's cool. There's only one problem. It's always a correction officer that is trying to move their way up the ranks. A lot of them are, but I'm just saying this particular correction officer, she was like, let's search the cart. She didn't see Big Chuck put that in the cart, those 2 pounds. But she just seen the cart just sitting there, and she decides to go over and search the cart. When she searches the cart, lo and behold, the 2 pounds, she finds them. Who's in control of this cart? Inmates not going to say anything. They asked the staff, oh yeah, Ronnie Taylor. Ronnie Taylor wasn't even in the area. He was like in a different part of the building at this particular time. Ronnie Taylor. Oh yeah. They locate Ronnie Taylor. They come back, show him what they found. They question him. Ronnie Taylor, man, I don't know what you're talking about, man. I was cleaning the bathrooms, on the other side of the building. I don't have any knowledge of these cigarettes. It's tobacco and it's lighter being in this cart. Was this cart yours? No, it's not mine. Well, are you the one is there anybody else that has access to this cart? I don't know who has access to anything. Only thing I know is that's not mine. That's all I can tell you. It's not mine. Well, they go in, They talked to the staff again. Now, Keith was really like, he liked Ronnie Taylor, but he liked his job even more. So instead of him really just, nah, this is not Ronnie Taylor, there's no way. He was thinking about his job. He was close to retirement. He only had like another year left before he was eligible for retirement. And so they sold Ronnie Taylor up the river. Lock him up, take him back to the, when we go. No, actually, they put him in his car, take him back to the pen, to the camp. Throw him in the hole. He's sitting in the hole for like 3 days. Everybody knows that works out there that Big Chuck was the one that threw that tobacco on the cart. But yet you got Ronnie Taylor sitting in the hole for it. Nobody stepped up and said anything. I was mad as hell. I wanted to fight Big Chuck. I was going to split Big Chuck's wig, man. You know what I mean? For the simple fact that Ronnie Taylor was my dude, man. It was my partner. This was my dude, man, and you done got my dude locked up. It's one thing if you put it on the cart and they never found it. But guess what? If they put it on the cart and they never found it, and Ronnie Taylor comes back to the cart and he sees it, guess what? You're going to want your tobacco back. But at the same time, when they do find it, you don't even step up and say, hey, it's mine, man. Y'all got an innocent man in the hole, man. Nah, it's mine. It's tobacco. It ain't like it's some hellified write-up or some hellified charges on the... It's tobacco. It's not cocaine. It's not weed. See what I'm saying? It ain't that boy. It's tobacco. The people out there at the factory, they smoke. Everybody smokes. Never said a word. So I'm mad, man. I'm pissed. But it's like I'm kind of caught in a crossfire because I'm going to go for parole. I don't have much time left to go for parole. I'm trying to get home, man. I know that Ronnie Taylor did indulge in some, bringing the tobacco in or what have you. So as mad and upset as I was, and I really want to lay hands on Big Chuck, I had to use my better judgment. Because after all, poor decisions is what got me in prison in the first place. So I can't really be fighting other people's battles that didn't have anything to do with me. But I was heated because Ronnie Taylor was my dog. I'm talking about every day, man, we kicked it at the job. Like, he was that person to where even though you didn't want to go to work, you didn't feel like going to work, I go into work and kick it with Ronnie Taylor, man. He gonna keep me laughing. He has stories for days, man. This guy had stories for days. So at any rate, they lock him up, throw him in a hole for 3 days. Goes to court call. They convict him. They send him to the pen. Yeah, to the pen behind the fence. Well, he had already been behind the fence before. It's not like he was afraid to go behind the fence. But it was just messed up because, as I mentioned, nobody was sending him any money. He didn't have any support from the outside world. He did have a girlfriend. She sent him a couple dollars here and there, $20, $15, $25. But it was, it was sparingly. And she would write him. But he lived maybe 3 hours away because he lived on the western part of Kentucky. So he didn't really get visits or anything like that. And it was just like, man, that is messed up. So they ended up sending him to the pen, as I mentioned. I'm going to work every day. I'm not even going to work every day at this point because I'm so disgusted. Keith and I had words. And, Big Chuck and I, we had words. I let him know, like, man, that's my dog, man. You gonna do him like this, man? Nothing ever came from that as far as the physicality between me and Big Chuck, but I was not happy about that whatsoever. Probably about 2 months later, now I'm even closer to going back, or actually going to the parole board. I look up. Ronnie Taylor's back on the yard. He's back. The prison that they sent him to, he went through the court call. Now, court call is basically, I'm trying to explain this to y'all so you'll fully understand. Like, if you've never been to prison, court call is like court within the prison. So you'll have an inmate representing you. Now, when I say an inmate, he's a legal aid. He's gone through training for like 6 weeks. And they learn certain tactics and certain things to say and present when they go before the disciplinary committee. And you have an inmate who's labeled as a legal aid, and they represent you. Well, when he got to, I believe they sent him to North Point. That's where they had the riot at in like 2009, I believe. Burned the whole place down, man. Whoop guards, all that stuff. North Point Training Center, man. But he went there. He was gone for a couple months, and he beat his case. He beat it in appeal. You all can't say that this is mine. This cart is in a common open area. Anybody could have put this tobacco in the cart. Couldn't prove that I did it. He beats his case, write up, all of that stuff's overturned. They sent him back to Blackburn, and they had to give him his job back. So he comes back to Blackburn, but he's heated. He's heated at this individual because he feels as though, man, you gonna throw it on my cart, man, and not even say nothing, and I done had to go spend time in the hole because when he got to North Point, he had to go back to the hole. So he did the initial 3 days in the hole at Blackburn, but then when they sent him to North Point, as I mentioned, he had to do like another couple weeks in the hole. He's heated. He's 50 years old. Big Chuck's probably, I don't know, 31, 32, big dude. He's a white dude, probably about 6 foot, 6'1", 240, 250. Nice sized dude. You know, he wasn't really sloppy with it. Athletic, played basketball, whatever. But Ronnie Taylor had a real serious problem with him, man. Ronnie Taylor lost his one-man room because he was in a one-man, so he was in like an honor dorm. So when you get to the highest pinnacle, if you will, that you can get to is a one-man room in the honor dorm. Ronnie Taylor lost that. Yeah, they gave him his job back, but he still had to wait for an opening because they only hired so many people. So he's sitting there, he don't really have anything or whatever. Him and, Big Chuck talk. Big Chuck ain't trying to make it right. You ain't trying to give him nothing. You supposed to give him $100 worth of stuff. Here, man, make sure you're good till you get your job back. It was on me. It was my bad. Big Chuck was acting like he didn't, Ronnie Taylor wasn't feeling that, man. I want you. I want you, big boy. And I want you bad. Ah, man, I ain't got time to be fooling with that, man. I'm going to go for parole, man. Here's $15. Nah, forget all that, man. $15. For what I had to endure, for what I had to go through, I want you. Big Chuck wanted no parts of Ronnie Taylor. Now, I don't think Big Chuck was afraid. He had too much going on. He had an operation. He's making money. He ain't got no time to be getting into it with nobody. But at the same time, this guy has taken your charges and never said a word. He knew that you was a cigarette man out there. He never said a word. You never got a question other than when the people came out there initially and they questioned everybody. None of that. He held you down. He kept it real. Kept it solid. Dude kept, avoiding Ronnie Taylor or whatever. Finally, one day, we was in the dungeon. We was in the gym. In the gym at Blackburn, they call it the dungeon. Downstairs in the dungeon is a weight pile. They got cameras, but it's very minimal. I had a correctional officer jump on my in my comments and tell me that I was lying about a story because he was like, oh, no, because I know they have cameras everywhere. This was years ago, 10 years ago, okay? They have cameras, but they're not everywhere. Everybody knows has been in prison. There are definitely blind spots everywhere in the prison. Ronnie Taylor called him down there. What's up, man? Dude was still acting like he didn't want to pay Ronnie. Don't worry about it. Ronnie left out of the dungeon, but he didn't completely leave out of the dungeon because there was different rooms within the dungeon. Dude was on the weight bench. He was lifting his little weights or whatever. Ronnie came back there with a plate. And he wasn't trying to just split the dudes because he probably could have, unalived him if he really, really wanted to. Ronnie came back there with probably like one of them 10-pound plates. Boom! Split him while he was on the bench. He was on the flat bench doing his boom! Split him. Split him again. Hit him 2 times. Opened him all the way. Gashed him. Opened him all the way up. This is in the very, very back part of the dungeon. Definitely wasn't no cameras back there. To this day, there's probably no cameras back there. So if you all that are from Kentucky or, Lexington or what have you, and you've been to Blackburn, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The weight pile, the bottom of the gym, the dungeon. It's like 4 or 5. It's probably like 4 weight pals into one. The front part has cameras, but in the very, very back, where the dumbbells and probably 5 or 6 bench. Yeah, I say about 5 or 6 benches back there for the bench press or whatever, and no cameras back there. Ronnie splits him a couple times. Dude can't do nothing, man. Dude is messed around. Ronnie tells him, man, you're going to get off his yard. Because if you don't, I'm going to split you again. I could go on and just take you out now. But either you're going to get off his yard, you're going to give me my money. Whatever the scenario is, I'm going to get paid. Dude didn't want no parts of Ronnie, man. He ended up checking out of the yard, man. Checking off the yard or whatever. Ronnie ended up getting his job back. Start making his money again. And the thing about it, nobody said nothing. Because see, in the very back in the dungeon, man, it's not that large. So it's probably this particular day, maybe only 7, 8 people back there. I was back there. Ronnie was back there. Big Chuck was back there. A couple of people he works out with and a couple other dudes. Nobody said nothing. Nobody said a word, man. He had to go to medical. He had to get stitched up or what have you. So obviously they're asking him what happened. I don't know exactly what he told him. Only thing I know is Ronnie Taylor remained on that yard and he eventually was gone. Type of things that go down in prison. Now this was lightweight. This was lightweight because Ronnie could have just kept bashing him. Ronnie could have grabbed one of them 60 or 70 pound dumbbells, and just smashed him. Barbells, whatever. Could have just smashed him. Killed him all the way out. Just kept hitting him. But that wasn't the goal. That wasn't what he chose to do that particular day. But at this moment, Big Chuck was vulnerable, man. There was nothing that he could do. Nobody knew that Ronnie Taylor was coming like that. Pause. Gotta watch how you treat people, man, on the streets and in prison, man. He was supposed to take his lick, his medicine. You let a man, potentially ruin his parole. You let a man go to the hole, get shipped to another facility, have to fight and pay legal aids and all this stuff, and just to get back for something that you should have stepped up and said, you know what? That ain't Ronnie's, man. I put that on there. Again, it wasn't nothing but some cigarettes. But even if it wasn't cigarettes, you threw that on his cart. You knew that was Ronnie Taylor's cart. So it may not have belonged to him per se, as I mentioned several minutes ago. But you knew that this is the cart that Ronnie Taylor typically pushes around. Every once in a while, he'll go out on a trip. He'll go out on a delivery. But 4 days out of 5, he's in that warehouse. Pushing that yellow cart around, man. I ended up making parole, but I kept in touch with Ronnie Taylor. I write him, send him a little money, and eventually we ended up losing touch. I know that he made parole. Hopefully he's still out, because Ronnie Taylor wasn't even no troublemaking type dude, man, to be honest. Like, he didn't grow up getting in trouble. He just caught himself in a situation where he caught a case, he got probation, and then got caught up again right afterwards. So he ended up with 15 years. But Ronnie Taylor wasn't, and as weird as that may seem, he wasn't no like criminal type dude. Just he didn't have no money and he got railroaded throughout the system. That's basically it. So at 15 years that he had, if he had an attorney, probably would have been 3 or 4 years, maybe 5. That's just how, it works in the Department of Corrections, man. Prison's a dangerous place. That's why when I say dog eat dog, I literally mean that, man. You give no damns about no Ronnie Taylor. I'm gonna make sure I ain't going to the hole. I ain't messing my operation up. I ain't, it's all about me, man. Forget Ronnie Taylor. And he lucky he didn't lose his life, man, because Ronnie definitely had him in a compromising position, if you will, and he could have took him straight out, man. Hopefully you liked the video. Feel free to comment, definitely share, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and be sure to hit that post notification. So anytime I bring you this action and this heat, guess what? You're amongst the first to receive, man. Shout out to Ronnie Taylor, man. Real Kens TV.